Hello everyone, today I'm here to do a review of two Chinese character courses that I have been using for 1 month now. The two courses that I am going to be reviewing are Yoyo Chinese and Cecilia Chinese. So I ended up deciding to use these programs because, for one, Yoyo Chinese was the program for just speaking that I initially used that helped me begin to speak Chinese here in Taiwan. Yoyo over the years has added more programs to just her, conversational Chinese. One of those was the character course. So finally decided to actually go through the process of completing her 20-week program. For Cecilia, I forgot how I found her, but I found what she was teaching just about like Uber Eats commercial or something. I found it quite useful and I thought that was really cool. I started following her on Instagram. However, I was not really interested in taking another conversational Chinese course because I already did a beginner and intermediate, and that does not mean that I mastered it at all. Absolutely not. My Chinese still sucks, but I would feel like it would be a waste of my money because I probably already have been taught the things. I just need to use the things. And of course, anybody that is learning another language knows that if you don't use it, you lose it. So I was not interested in that. But last year, she did come out with a character course program. And that sounded very cool to me. It looked really interesting what she was doing. So I decided to also use her program. So I'm actually doing both at the same time. And I do not recommend for you to do this, but I just thought it would be interesting to see the differences between the two programs. And the only reason why I can somewhat do this is because I'm already coming with the baseline of knowing anywhere from 400 to 600 characters in Chinese. So it won't be distracting for me to sit back and observe and see how things are taught. Also, I am a teacher myself. I actually went to school for it. So it's very interesting to see how other teachers teach and which ones fit me the most, okay? So this is why I'm kind of doing it. It's also to help me continue to have interest in learning Chinese, because for me, if things get too the samey, I get bored. And believe it or not, it's actually quite difficult for me to actually practice and use my Chinese here in Taiwan, because I do not have the complexion of, somebody that people just want to come up and just all the time make small talk with up here, up north or whatever. And that's a video for another day that may never come. But anyway, so I decided to do these two programs. So for what you get with Yoyo Chinese is that she is teaching you 300 characters and it is $11 a month. Now there is a fixed price one-time fee payment, and I will try to either put it across the screen or link or write it in the comment section below about what that one-time price is. And again, you learn 300 characters for $11 a month. I think that's a nice, decent price, but you have to decide for yourself. Then you have Cecilia's program, where she says that she will teach you 500 characters, and her course is $33 a month for 7 payments, and then it stops. Okay, so there you have that. Now, with Yoyo Chinese, you receive a study schedule that you can print out. You have the notes from the characters learned, any phrases she gave you. She also gives you some review materials. So those review materials are things like examples of you, like just doing a little quick self-quiz of like reading actual little advertisements of different Chinese signs that you may see. And then she actually does a quick little print quiz where you just quickly, identify the character or the phrase and then circle all the characters that you have learned thus far in the course. Then of course, online, for the online part, of course you get her video lesson, but then you get the online flashcards right after the lesson. And then you actually have the actual online quiz, all right? And of course, it does come with a support team. I don't believe Yoyo Chinese is a huge company, maybe small company, but there are different people that are there to answer your questions if you run into any that you might need. Cecilia's program, you get printable flashcards. You also get review when it's time to review for her lessons. little different quizzes and games that you can do for hers. However, unlike Yo-Yo, hers come once you get done with a certain set of characters, whereas Yo-Yo, you're getting quizzed at the end of every single lesson or video. You also receive handwriting practice sheets as well. Then you also have a handout of the different real life things that she went over in class, like real life signs and things like that with the Chinese characters that she's taught. And then, because it's 2023, she also has a Discord. So these are the things that you get with Yo-Yo's course. So let's talk about the pros. So with the pros, with Yo-Yo Chinese, for me, it's very structured. You know what you're supposed to do, when you're supposed to do it. Like I said, a schedule and things like that. And that helps for somebody who's my type of learner. With Yo-Yo, many things are just very laid out. It's very plain. It's just laid out for you. It's very organized. It's very clean, neat looking, professional. You're good to go, okay? With Cecilia, you know, you get all those things that I said. Cecilia definitely is very responsive. Like if you send her a message, she will get back with you. I do believe that her flashcards are hands down like, yeah, they're the things that keep me coming back because they're so colorful. They're so cute. For example, she'll make a card like this for Taro Uto, but then if you flip it over, it's just regular on the back, right? And she actually has two different versions of these flashcards, and I get the advanced version because again, no flex, but I already know like 400 to 600. So I like you seeing plain characters does not bother me or intimidate me. All right, so what are some of the cons? Okay, so with Yo-Yo Chinese, the thing with Yo-Yo Chinese though is there's a big emphasis on simplified characters. And this is a problem for several reasons because again, if you are in Taiwan, if you're in, I think Hong Kong, I believe, and there may be some other places in different various regions that have Mandarin speakers, traditional Chinese is still used. And there is this emphasis on simplified Chinese, which can be frustrating because when I'm looking at my notes, the simplified characters are more prominent. Like when I'm looking at my paper notes, I guess you could say, the simplified characters are very much more prominent. And so I'm literally having to wipe them out because in Taiwan, there's only been a few times where I've seen simplified characters and it's not being used overall. It's just being used for when there's a character that has a lot of strokes and the person doesn't feel like writing all those strokes. So usually that is literally for the Thai in Taiwan itself. Okay, then also sometimes for how, for the number, and then guo for country, right? Because it's a lot of strokes and sometimes I will see people just write those much quicker. And those are the usual culprits, by the way. And most of the time it is like stuff that is dealing with business, like selling stuff or whatever. If you are actually looking at printed magazines or newspaper articles, they're all gonna be in traditional. So there you go. During that, the online quiz that she has you do, the issue becomes that when you're getting tested, it only reads the simplified characters. So if it is doing like yen for you know, turn or side, I guess I should say side. If I try to type the traditional character that it asked me to type, it won't read it and it will mark it as wrong. And I did say something to the support team about this. Like I was like, it's great that the digital flashcards that you guys have are in traditional characters for me, but that doesn't help when it's time to quiz me and it's not reading the traditional characters that I put in. So I really feel like they could do better with bulking up the traditional characters or trying to like streamline it as much as possible. There should be more real life practice. When you're doing the review sections for Yo-Yo Chinese, they only give like 3 examples for practice and that's it. And I think it should be a little bit more than that, you know, because if you don't use it, you lose it, right? So even the phrases, some of the phrases that she teaches, you don't see them in the practice materials. It's mainly just the isolated characters themselves, okay? Then the other thing is there are no printable flashcards. I actually need to touch my flashcards, flip them over and do all of that jazz to help me commit it to memory. And so just only having digital flashcards, it's a little bit of a problem for me. So I wish there were like printable flashcards that I can print out and hold in my hand. And that was actually one of the hugest annoyances actually when I took Yoyo Chinese intermediate course. There were no flashcards. So I literally would have to spend like 20-30 minutes of my day creating, flashcards on a free software program and print those out, then cut them up and glue them. I went through so much glue. Like seriously, y'all. This is a combination of Yoyo Chinese stuff and just me also learning my singular characters using a different book. Like there is no space. You see, there is no space in here. So it's a lot, okay? Those are a lot of cards I made, right? So on to Cecilia. With Cecilia is a one-woman operation, and I definitely admire her for like taking on all this responsibility and designing these courses. However, there are some issues. The first is that there is no study schedule. And again, you have different types of learners. And so for some learners, like moi, right, we feel that there needs to be boundaries, there needs to be a schedule. And if there's no schedule, it feels too loosey-goosey, right? It feels a little bit too loosey-goosey. And so I actually emailed her and I said, well, how many characters should I be doing per week? And that's when she said 5 per week. And for me personally, that's too much. That's too low. That's too low. You have to understand that initially when I first started learning Chinese, and I think I've told you guys this before in another video, that I was using this book right here. And I actually read the intro to this book where the professor said, oh, I teach my kids 7 per day. So I am used to a 7 per day, characters per day. And so 5 per week, that seems like really, 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 really slow to me. With Yoyo, you're doing about 3 per day, and then on top of that 3 per day, she's also sometimes giving you extra little phrases to learn. But again, the issue with Yoyo is that those phrases don't have flashcards, so it's hard for me to keep remembering them because I will need to make flashcards for all of them. Okay, so there you go. The other thing about Cecilia is that there were some errors, some of the things that were presented, grammar or with spelling, that I think could be cleaned up. I also think that there's a section that before you start really, really, truly learning the characters, that there is a whole lot, there's like several videos, I'll try to write how many there were, that were just focusing on writing. And I was like, okay, I get it, this is actually helpful. Was there not a way to condense this down a little bit? Because it's almost just like, if I had started this course when she first released it, and I don't know how much she released when she first did it, but if I'm doing the first month and all it is about writing and I'm waiting for her to release more material, I'll feel a little frustrated that I'm not, learning characters. And again, so I have one other thing that I need to add, that I'm actually on, I believe, week 6 now of the program, and I ran into an issue where I was trying to start the next course in the order that it is put on the website, and the lesson was not there. And when I asked Cecilia about that, she said that she had not posted that one yet. But there are videos that are after that one unit, which was a very short unit, that are ready to go. So that could be a little confusing as well. I am saying this not knowing what videos were initially available. So if it was the writing and then there was also characters, cool, I take it back. I mean nothing by it. Also, I do think that the Discord could be a little bit more active. There have been some updated posts, and that's awesome. That is great. Love that. But I do think that there should be at least one new post a week that people can interact with if they want to. Maybe do some sentence, like if she posts a picture identifying a sign and somebody already got the correct answer, then she could then flip it and have the students then go and say, well, go ahead and tell me if you can find the matching sign or a sign that's similar. Something like that. Just some little challenges or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, so for me with Cecilia, it's just like, those are like the biggest issues that I have with the program itself. For both ladies, I will say that with their real life reading practice stuff, with Yo-Yo, I said it's too few. With Cecilia, I would actually want her to take off the English translations or make two versions. One with the English answers and one without the English answers, so that I can go back over reading without knowing already the answer in English, just to challenge myself a little bit more. But I will say that overall, though, both ladies have done an awesome job. So, by the way, how did I do this thing with Cecilia to give her a fair shot, even though she didn't have a schedule? What I simply did was add up the time that I was spending on Yo-Yo Chinese and then literally transfer it over to how much time I would spend with Cecilia. So if it took me 20 minutes to get through Yo-Yo Chinese lessons, then I would spend 20 minutes with Cecilia. If it took me 15, I would spend 15 with Cecilia, and that's how I've been doing it. Okay, so there you go. My final thoughts. Although, you know, Yo-Yo Chinese says that how they managed to pick the characters that they chose was by the most common 300. So they looked at articles, HSK1, HSK2, stuff like that, and like other different stuff. And that's how they chose the 300 characters that they decided to choose, right? So these were most likely the most common words, right? Characters that you see, right? Whereas with Cecilia's emphasis is to get you to be able to survive, you know, in at least Taiwan, right? So what Cecilia did was she is organizing hers by radicals, but radicals that are helpful to your everyday life. And so far, where I am at the end of 1 month is we're still going over a lot of different types of food. And so because of that, right, what Cecilia is teaching tends to be a lot more applicable to everyday life. Right? So if I go grocery shopping, I'm going to see the characters for mushroom or apples or bananas, right? Or I'm going to see the character for how many are contained in this bag, right? And I would say sometimes going to a grocery store can be a give me, like a free give me, because literally you can just look and, you know, hey, those are mushrooms or whatever. So it's like no problem or whatever. But I will say that doesn't even matter, because even if I'm not at the grocery store, right? If I'm walking down the street, I'll see like a phrase that Cecilia has already taught, right? Or I will open up Uber Eats and be reading a menu that's all in Chinese. And again, some of it I already know, right? But combining that also with what I already know with the new stuff that Cecilia has taught me, I will 100% be able to read everything, you know? Like, whereas with Yo-Yo Chinese, I will see the individual characters a lot, but the words and the phrases are not put together in a way that are meaningful all the time. Or if I am going to see some of the words and phrases that she does give, a lot of times it's going to be probably if I were to sit down, read a newspaper article or something like that. That's how I just feel about how the characters are being used at this time. So I do feel that if you are trying to, for sure, like, have characters so that you are able to effectively use them for your everyday life, I would definitely say go with Cecilia's program. You know, try to make a little schedule for yourself and see how many characters can you learn comfortably and retain. With Yo-Yo Chinese, I feel that if you kind of already want that stuff done for you and you just are kind of just like, I'm learning the building blocks, or I maybe see really quick a news story, a headline, like a short little headline or a quick side. I think that in some way that, you know, because so far, like, Yo-Yo has done nothing with food. There's no food. So this would be stuff like maybe seeing stuff like with tax office or money or something about interests or population, like more of these types of everyday life function words. I think you might like Yo-Yo Chinese. But if you were to tell me which one would you recommend that I'm going to quickly see these characters and be able to make meaning of them and it actually be important to my life, Cecilia, all the way. Both programs are very nice. It's just, what are you more so trying to do, right? Because if you're just in America and you're just, kind of studying Chinese for shits and giggles, if you're just trying to learn Chinese for that, then Yoyo is fine because there's no pressure, right? There's no urgency in knowing how to read everything. But if you're like in the thick of it, or you're coming to some Mandarin speaking country that uses characters, then I would definitely probably say, probably use Cecilia's first. All right. So anyway, that's all I have for you guys today. I hope this video was helpful. Again, both programs are great. It's just, again, what are you looking for in your program? Anyway, I will talk to you guys later. Bye.